We have an agenda and we have an objective to get things done. I recognize that you have a difference of opinion. Well, what I'm trying to say is that we're not having this conversation here and now. The board president.
Well, at this point, honestly, I think we have to go by our policy, so we are going to adjourn the meeting and come back at this point.
You need a motion?
Yes, could I please have a motion from the board to adjourn the meeting, please?
Moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Noes?
I oppose the
Abstentions?
motion, just for the record.
Okay.
Motion to reopen the meeting? Didn't hear that?
So moved.
Oh, I was making a motion.
You make the motion? I'll
Okay,
second.
Sue, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Is that better?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Could you not, we just made a motion to.
Yeah, there was a motion and a second to reconvene the meeting.
Okay, I'm in
Aye.
favor.
All good? Okay. I just wanted to, I'm sorry for the delay. I do appreciate everyone that stayed and put on the mask. We do want to hear from you. We're just following, again, the mandates from the state, and we are setting an example for our students. We have students here tonight, and they're supposed to be represented, and we're giving awards out, and this is Dr. Mccartney's retirement, as well as Dr. Fitz is here, our new interim superintendent. So we would like to keep some decorum at this meeting, and we appreciate, a lot of us would love to get rid of the masks as well, but at this point in time, we have to follow the policies, and that's why. So I appreciate those that stayed and put on the masks. So we have a lot of business to tend to tonight. We will begin with the minutes. Approval of the minutes for the following meetings: April 27th, 2021, regular meeting; May 13th, 2021, executive session; May 13th, 2021, special meeting; May 18th, executive and regular. We are actually going to remove for this month, right? And May 25th, 2021, executive; May 25th, 2021, special meeting. Can I please have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Noes, abstentions? No? Okay. Great. Sorry, I'm having computer problems today. I need to start. Any communications that anyone would like to share? No? Well, thank you again for being here. I just want to remind everyone that we are live streaming tonight, so that those that can't make it had the opportunity to still view remotely. This is our last scheduled board meeting of the school year, and it has been quite a year. If we got through this pandemic, we can get through anything. And thank you to staff, parents, for helping us keep our students safe and learning throughout this unprecedented year, and especially for the students, for their resilience, flexibility, and creativity during this difficult time. They have probably learned so much through this that will take them throughout them in their lives. So hoping we can also continue to incorporate some of the silver linings we learned from the pandemic, and hopefully everyone has a good summer and the ability to relax and recharge. We do have a number of transitions coming up as we're saying goodbye to Dr. Mccartney, although he's temporarily gone, but he will be back. He is going to be retiring, which we will present him some retirement plaque during the retirement process. But I also want to take the opportunity to introduce our new interim superintendent, Dr. Leonard Fitz. If you want to stand. Wave. Thank you so much. We are so excited for Dr. Fitz to join us. He is a longtime educator, over 4 decades in education, and he's also a Morristown resident. His resume is so impressive. So many years as an educator, a math teacher, guidance counselor to superintendent. He actually retired in 1996 as Union County Superintendent, but started working right up again and has done about 10 or so interim roles, 2 during COVID, and I think has been adjunct professor at over 15 colleges and universities. So pretty amazing, the experience he has. So please help me welcome him as you see him. Thank you so much, Dr. Fitz, and for being here today. He's still in transitioning. His first day will be July 1st. So welcome. We also have some additional transitions. So I did want to thank Dr. Gibson, who has been with us. She jumped right in as our director of HR, and she was such a great support to us in this critical time. So thank you. I know you might be back in some support roles, hopefully over the summer. So we're so happy to have you, and thank you again for your time here. I also want to take a minute to thank Carol Butler for her years of Director of Curriculum and Instruction. I couldn't remember how many years it was, Carol, but I know you've been in that role for many years, and also have accomplished a lot in those years. So too much to list, but I had one real memory of the 8th grade pilot of laptops, which was one team in the 8th grade, which was about only 7 years ago when you think about it. And now we have an entire school district from that time, completely laptops that are able to enhance our education, prepare. And Carol was integral, Jeff too, but of course, but Carol was integral in championing this through and continuing to push how important it is to have this technology in the classrooms. And thank goodness she did, because of the pandemic. We were ready to go. We've learned so much. So thank you, Carol, for all that you have brought to that role. And Carol is staying on, and we're excited for her new role of Director of HR, Inclusion, and Diversity, which I believe she will begin too July 1st in that role. So thank you, Carol. We wish you the best, and thank you for all you've done for our district. Finally, I also wanted to say that we are working with, we call it HYA, Hazard Young and Atea Associates, for a superintendent search. We have used them before in our strategic planning, if people remember them. They are confident that the applicant pool of superintendents is strong right now. So although originally we thought we would wait until the summer, September area to start the process, we're going to try and gather community input this month. And this input will help frame the characteristics and the profile for what, as a community, we want as a permanent superintendent as we begin looking. There will be an email going out asking if you're interested in participating either in these community forums or in focus groups that they will be running. You'll probably get that over the next few days, but if you know for sure you want to be included, feel free to email me directly. And I know that was a lot. I think that's all I have to cover for the moment. So I did want to turn it over to Dr. Mccartney for the superintendent's monthly report.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you, everyone. To echo President Shaw's thanks, I want to say thank you to those of you that are in the audience that have followed the guidelines or have done what we ask in order to try to compromise with our folks that were here have a different opinion. We've elected to allow them to stay outside of this room just so that you can have the space and distance you like. Anybody who's in the meeting should in fact wear a mask and go from there. Ideally, we would like everyone to follow the guidance within the school and keep the mask on. That being said, tonight's meeting is about so much more than this one issue. We want to recognize a number of people, and as Karen said, we have a lot of transition happening in the district. I too want to echo the sentiments to Dr. Gibson, and we have a small token and gift to thank her for all of her work in the district and just continuing to say yes when we said we'd just stay another week, another week, another week, another week, all along. So with fondness and thanks to Dr. Gibson, we'll give this to her. It does include the infamous Morristown pen, along with the Morristown shirt. I've had I've had the great privilege of working with Dr. Gibson in 2 different districts, and I can tell you she's just the consummate professional. She knows her job, she's good at it, and she came through for us when we needed her most. So definitely want to say thank you there. I also want to echo as Carol Butler moves from the Director of Curriculum and Instruction to the Director of Resource. Want to say thank you to Carol. Over the last number of years, the district has accomplished a lot under her leadership in curriculum. And we're excited to see what she'll do in HR and how she'll be able to continue the discussion with hiring great teachers to advance our curriculum and to just keep the district moving forward. So congratulations and thank you to Carol for all of her work. And also this evening, we want to recognize a number of our employees who have also taken the great step to move towards retirement. And it's always bittersweet wherever you are from that standpoint, because I know these folks love what they do. They love this community. They love the children in this community. And they're educators at heart, and they just love serving in that respect. So I have tons of respect for them. And I'd ask if Dr. Gibson would come forward. We'll come over to that microphone there, and I know a number could not be here this evening, but we want to recognize each and every one. Thank you.
Oh, good evening. Something positive for tonight. I always welcome positivity. It's great for us all to do that. Without further ado, we do have 2 of our retirees that are here tonight. And the first person I'm going to introduce to you, she goes by the name Susie Montenago. She has been here since 2002. Started out as a part-time preschool teacher and resource room at Roberts from 2002 to 2014. From 2014 to the present, an inclusion kindergarten teacher. You will be missed, but your legend will stay with us forever. Thank you. Okay, our other retiree who we have here tonight, Mr. Christopher Norris. He's been a band teacher at the high school. He started in 1998, instrumental music director, pep band advisor, all South Jersey All-State Band, and one of our mentor teachers. You're going to be missed.
So we'll take a moment just to read what's here. In their packages, the Morristown pen we speak to. I'm always glad that the retirees still know how to use a pen, because it's one of those things that's growing past day within the school world, or in our world. Certainly this year has proven that to be the case. This is to read from Morristown Township Public School Board of Education presents this certificate to Christopher Norris, wishes to express sincere thanks and gratitude for 23 years of service to our schools. Your wisdom and dedication and excellence has inspired many and will long be remembered. We wish you good health, happiness, and continued success. I am President of the Board of Education, Karen Shaw, and myself. I've had the privilege of seeing Chris perform with his students, and if you had any questions about his heart and his love for his students and the work that he does, all you got to see him is stand up on the stage with the kids for even 30 seconds, and you know where his heart is. So not only that, I think what I love the most is that he brings out the best in our students, and I've told him that many, many times. They're better musicians, they're better people because of his work. So congratulations, Chris, and thank you so very much for all you do.
Very much.
Yep,
We'll read yours too. Upon your retirement, Morristown Township Public Schools Board of Education presents this certificate to Suzanne Montagno and wishes to express its sincere thanks and gratitude for your 19 years of service to our schools. Your wisdom and dedication to excellence have inspired many and will long be remembered. We wish you good health, happiness, and continued success in your retirement. Thank you so much for
Thank
all your
you.
service.
Thank you.
So first of all, one of the things, your smile always makes my day when I walk into a building, and she wears a smile and she brings that heart of joy to the work that you do. So thank you. You will be missed. We also offer our retirees a chance to say something. They usually are behind the scenes people that don't look for accolades, but we'd be remiss if we didn't, at least after how many years? 19 years and 23 years that we didn't give you the microphone. You are welcome to decline. I understand it's an interesting evening, but we'll at least offer it, and I'll pause for a second.
It's been my absolute pleasure to serve the students, the parents, the community, the administration, the Board of Education for the past 23 years. I've had an extremely rewarding career teaching so many fabulous and talented students over many years. And I'd just like to thank everyone for their support. Music education is not a frill. It benefits all students. It is so important. Students develop a sense of grit and other appreciations of life through beauty of music. And thank you for your support of the arts.
I just want to say I kind of already made my speech earlier. However, I've been 19 years in Morristown. However, I started my career in 1985, and I taught in another district for 11 years. So this is actually my 30th year overall with teaching, taking 7 years off to raise our sons, but still teaching, exactly. But I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. It was a very rough year, kind of was the tipping block for me to decide to go ahead and live out my dream, build my house with my husband in Long Beach Island, and I will be retiring down the shore. And I just want to say, in nautical terms, I just want to say, Dr. Mccartney, thank you very much for always being the captain of the ship and keeping us upright.
Thank you so much.
And congratulations on your retirement also. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for everything.
We'll go through the remainder. Yeah, so while we had a number that are retiring, they weren't able to be here this evening, but we certainly want to recognize them and their accomplishments. So I'll have you read their names and let's give them a round of applause.
Okay, Maureen Sullivan, who's not here, but on Zoom for us. No, me and this mask going to have a heart attack here. Okay, Maureen Sullivan. Excuse me a second. I can't read up my glasses, so let's be real. I can't fake it anymore. Okay, here we are. Maureen Sullivan, she's a fourth grade teacher at UES. She started here in 1988. She started as a fourth grade teacher at Mary Roberts Elementary School. She's a summer tutor, district and building committees. She's also retired, but she's on Zoom right now, so give her a wave. Okay, other retirees are Jeannie Warren, who's a paraprofessional at Mary Roberts Elementary School. She started here in 2001. She's been a paraprofessional at South Valley and Roberts, and she completed many paraprofessional trainings. She worked during the summer programs for the ESY. Patricia Warren, known as Trish, special ed teacher at the middle school since 2008. She worked at the high school, UES, middle school, participated in many school committees. Katie Albert, science teacher at the high school, started in 1999, one of our mentor teachers. Mary Jean Klatt, first grade teacher at Baker, she started in 1996. She's done wonderful like bus duties, social skills club advisor, many committees at Baker. Barbara Memo, fourth grade teacher at UES, started in 1996, started grade 4 at Mary Roberts Elementary Schools, strategic club, Kids Zone Club at Roberts, bus duty, summer enrichment programs, mentor. So our teachers do more than just teach, folks. Stay busy. They are busy. And we have Christine Maloney Nolan, special ed teacher at Baker, started in 1997, resource room teacher. The page here, social skills club advisor, and district building committee. Those are our retirees. Give them all a round of applause.
We actually have one more retiree to honor. So Lauren's going to come up with a little. Thank you, Lauren. So let's give from us as individuals. This is a little gift from the board, but we did get you Morristown Township Public Schools presented to Dr. Scott P. McCartney. Thank you for your dedicated service to our schools and community and for your 31 years of educating students throughout New Jersey. Wishing you much health and happiness in your retirement and your future endeavors. A time to look back with admiration, a time to look forward with anticipation. So we just wanted to thank you so much. We know you've been a long-time educator and 31 years. I know you were a lot of that time in Egg Harbor Township, but we totally appreciate it. I believe it's been 5 years you've been here. And you have truly brought stability to a very turbulent time. I don't know if everyone remembers how we had a lot of superintendent turnover. So you have been stability, great leadership, your kindness. You will be missed, and but we all wish you well. We know you will be spending a lot of time with your family, and hopefully after that, I'm sure you will be pursuing other endeavors. But we thank you for your time here, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do you want to say a few words? Have a nice day.
Thank you. So I very much appreciate that. And, over the last couple months since giving notice to retire, I've received many cards, emails, calls, people pull you aside, and it really does mean a lot. I appreciate it. In 31 years, day one and last day for me, which is June 30th, I have thoroughly enjoyed being a part of the lives of children, seeing children grow and learn, seeing folks participate in music programs like Crises program or in classrooms in kindergarten. There's not a day that goes by that I don't get just a complete thrill from seeing some little one holding the hands of their mom and dad, walking out of a school and talking about how excited they were to learn about this or to do this or to go to the next thing. And so it has been a joy. They say if you find a job that you love, you're a lucky person. I feel like I'm a lucky person. Now, I can't say I've loved every part of it, tonight being one of those pieces of it, but at the same point in time, I am truly in awe of the work that teachers have had to do, that school principals have had to do this year, that parents have had to do in a time and a situation that has just been nothing but difficult for all of us. And I truly respect that for each family, for each person, there's a different point of view, a different perspective. And I think what's great about our world and great about what we do in education is we try to teach our students how to respect those differences, how to love each other in spite of those differences, how to treat each other with kindness and compassion, and to understand that there are multiple perspectives. And so in the field of education, that's what we get to do every day, and our folks do it extremely well. So thank you to every single person who teaches in this district, administers in this district, and thank you to our parents for the support. Thank you so much. I didn't get a pen though. I know where the secret stash is, so.
We have an extra pen.
We have. We're taken care of. I also, excuse me. I don't know if Mr. Keith is still in the room or in the audience. He is. So, Mr. Keith, maybe if I could ask you to come forward. And I'm not sure how many of our students we were able to bring back this evening. So last week, we actually had our middle school student awards. And we were able to bring many people to this very same auditorium and recognize students. And as part of the program, there was a mishap with regard to some of the data or some clarification. And there were a number of students in the Coriel Science Fair and some of the other things that are going on that we wanted to make sure got recognized publicly. So I don't know, Mr. Keith, if you want to pick it up from there and sort of explain what everything is, and we'll recognize our students tonight.
Yeah, in a traditional year, we recognize our students at the board from the Coriel Science Fair, and this year being what it was a little bit crazy. So at our recognition night, it kind of dawned on us then that we normally do this, and we wanted to make sure that we got to the students. When Mr. Lynch gave me the list, it is impressive. And as I was trying to practice it, not sure if he was going to show up, it is a mouthful. The titles of some of these things that the students have done is amazing. So I'm going to let him talk a little bit more about that. We're going to introduce the students, let them get out of here because they've got so much homework the last week of school. So Mr. Lynch is our advisor of Coriel, and I'll let him take it over from here.
Thank you very much. It has been a great honor to work with this group of students. I'm blown away by their accomplishments. We had 7 students participate and submit projects this year, and all 7 advanced on from the Coriel into the Delaware Valley Fair. So we had tremendous success due to their hard work and dedication. And given all the constraints of this year, I'm beyond impressed with their work. So the first student that I'm going to recognize had a project titled "The Effect of Question Instant Feedback on Student Classroom Engagement." That project was awarded 2nd place in the field of computer science, and that is Vladimir Bonder, excuse me. The second project is "Can Kitchen Water Filters Work in the Wild?", which earned 2nd place in microbiology in the Coriel Science Fair, 2nd place in microbiology in the Delaware Science Fair, and the student was invited to participate in the Broadcom Masters, which is a national science fair honoring only the top 10% of projects in the official fairs. And that is Lauren Schaefer. Next, the project, "A Conclusion of Comprehension, Recording versus Reading," was our team project. It was awarded 1st place in the team projects category in the Coriel Science Fair, 2nd place in the team projects category in the Delaware Science Fair, and also the West Pharmaceutical Services Award. And that goes to Dashita Singh, Olivia Barnes, and Nika Vajani. Our next project is "Characterizing and Repurposing New Jersey Shore Bay Mud." And this project won 1st place in the Coriel Science Fair in the field of chemistry. It won the American Chemical Society 6th through 8th grade award, and the Best of Fair for 6th through 8th grade. It was also awarded honorable mention in the Delaware Valley Science Fair and got the Chromatography Forum of Delaware Valley Award at the Delaware Valley Science Fair. And that project belongs to Asha Chakrabarty. And finally, for the project of low-cost microplastic removal and water purifying systems using aluminum sulfate, salt, and coconut husk charcoal. Hold on a second. Okay. Winning 1st place in the engineering category at the Coriel Science Fair, the Best of Engineering Award 6th through 8th grade at the Coriel Science Fair, the Best of Physical Sciences Award in 6th through 8th at the Coriel Science Fair, 1st place in engineering at the Delaware Valley Science Fair, the PA Society of Professional Engineers Award at the Delaware Valley Science Fair, and the silver medal in the 6th through 8th grade range in the Delaware Sorry, there's a lot. And won too many awards at the Delaware Valley Science Fair, as well as being invited to participate in the Broadcom Masters, Sonia Leo. It has been a tremendous honor to work with these wonderful students. And if we could just give them one more round of applause as a group. I know they're on to big things at the high school. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It was a great night last week with middle school students to see all the great things that students did in spite of the circumstances. And then last evening we had our high school senior awards, and there was over $25,000 in scholarships. thousands of hours of community service, and just so many things to be proud of within the community. And I'm so glad that this district takes time to recognize that and emphasize those positives, because that's what we need to focus in on. So the last thing, and a category that we've done the last couple board meetings, and unfortunately, Drea Law, who has been the driver of that, couldn't be here with us this evening, but we've tried to recognize some of the unsung heroes in our district. And over the course of time, we've recognized nurses and our support staff and our facilities folks. And tonight we wanted to take a minute to give a round of thanks and applause and thanks to our technology department. Without them, just think about it, school would not have happened at all, even though it was a version of what we've typically done. So if you wouldn't mind, please thank Mr. Jeff Airy in the very back and all of his team for their tremendous work in IT. Thank you, Jeff, and I know you'll pass that on to your folks. Truly, they're there when you need them. They're there at night, early mornings, Saturdays and Sundays. Through all this, Jeff, I'm still surprised he answers the phone when I call, because he knows that I'm going to ask him or somebody to do something outside of the workday, and they just have shown up every single time. So we really do appreciate it. And now they have the wonderful task of collecting all that tremendous material that we've sent home with students. And so that's Herculean in its own right. So we do want to say thank you. They are unsung heroes, and we just want to sing a little bit on their behalf. So with that, my report is concluded. Thank you. Yep.
Great, thank you. We are up for the student board representatives. I know Kara could not be here tonight because there's so many senior events going on, but we've always appreciated her. So I think Claire, you're up. Sure, go right ahead.
As Claire's making her way, we'll fill the space, because I know how awkward it is to walk from here to there. She does it beautifully. Our student reps, we want to take a minute to thank them this year too. They have been here, either virtually or in person throughout the course of the year, not only learning about some of the processes in a public meeting and civic organizations, but I have to say, I always find that I learn as much from them, if not more. I think sometimes they represent just a tremendous voice. So thank you to you and your fellow students. We're proud of you, and we appreciate you being a part of our team for this school year. Thank you. Claire, go ahead.
All right, thank you. My name is Claire Hurin, and I'm the junior class liaison, and this is the very last time I will be saying that. Our school year ends on Thursday, and I'm so excited. Tonight, I would like to talk about our event-packed week at the high school. And unfortunately, Kara cannot be here tonight because she's helping to set up the seniors drive-in movie night. And I'm so excited to announce that tomorrow is our junior-senior combined prom. Student council spent time setting up today, setting up decorations, and my mom and I made some chandeliers with flower arrangements. I really think it's really going to make the whole prom, these chandeliers that I made. This prom has really been a beast to plan. We all know here that COVID-19 regulations have been practically changing weekly, but we are lucky enough to be having a joint outdoor prom tomorrow night. And today was our first day of our social emotional learning and pep rally events. Before our SEL activities started this morning, we held our student council elections. So everybody cross your fingers. I had some pretty stiff competition this year, but hopefully I'm on the board again. The junior student council members held a virtual career fair and interviewed about 15 different professionals in Morristown as our SEL activity. This event was organized and conducted by the juniors, and I would like to thank my advisors for their guidance and support. I personally have never had an experience like this, so I found it really interesting. Danush and I were in charge of asking the same group of business professionals different questions about their career and their paths, and then we also opened the floor to students in various homerooms to answer questions. I might have put a friend or two on the spot with a question, but overall there was really good feedback from our event today. And today was our first day of pep rally. We will be having pep rallies today, tomorrow, and Thursday. On Thursday, the grades will be wearing their class shirts. I will be glowing in my gold as a junior. And the juniors kind of crushed the freshmen today, but tomorrow we're facing the seniors. So it's not going to happen again. I will brag as long as I can. The responses have been great from students, and I'm really excited to continue our competition. Our week will culminate with our graduation ceremony. The Madrigals and I will be singing at the ceremony, and if you would like to brush up on the lyrics of our alma mater, let me know. I also had to do that this year. My sister graduated last year, and the administration and staff worked really hard to give her as normal of an experience as possible. But I'm so excited that this year the seniors will be getting a practically normal event. Madrigals will be there, the band will be there, full capacity for the families, and I'm really excited. As this is my last meeting of the year, I would like to thank the board for having me speak. I was excited to be invited back for a second year. I wasn't so sure if I would be. The board is compiled with many friendly faces, and I'm very proud of their work with race relations and handling the pandemic this year. I was a member of one of their race relations subcommittees on improving academic achievement trends, and I was just floored by their work and their dedication to equity and equality. I would like to congratulate all of our retirees, and I would like to thank Senor Trapani for supporting me as well for every single meeting. I'm not sure if I'm ready to give our updates in Spanish yet, but I'm close. And finally, I would like to thank my advisors for helping out the juniors to create new events and involve our classmates in this crazy year. I know that dealing with us can be like herding cats. I'm not the easiest to work with when I get passionate about something. And I don't want to cause a commotion, but this meeting definitely might taint my memories a little bit as a liaison. I respect the board for sticking to their rules and enforcing state mandates. And vaccinated or not, masks are important, and they can definitely make or break an outfit. My mom has made 100, so I can coordinate with every single outfit. And I might leave a little early after these comments, and I wish everybody here a good night. Thank you very much.
So I'm looking for Copio, and I am the sophomore class liaison. And if this were a normal year, I'd probably be cramming in some last minute studying for finals. But clearly this year has been everything but normal. And I think all the students are very thankful to have a very fun and relaxed final week of school with all these SLE activities and this pep rally that is being held at the turf, which I've heard some feedback isn't as fun as it was in the MAC in the fall of last year. But due to the COVID regulations at the time, it wasn't possible. So I think all the students are very thankful that we're at least getting something. So tomorrow, the sophomore class is holding their SLE activity, and the sophomore officers and the senators, and thankfully we had some volunteers to fill up the 17 homerooms, will be leading our SLE activity. And we thought it was important to celebrate culture. So that is our main focus of tomorrow. We're going to be having some interactive activities like Jeopardy and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And thankfully, we were talking to some of our fellow students, and they actually gave us and supplied us videos of them talking about their culture. So we will be playing those tomorrow, and I think it's a great learning opportunity for all of the students. And it's just been very challenging, but I'm very thankful to have been given the opportunity to talk to you and share my experiences that I've had at this school. And although I did not run for student council next year, I will be supporting all of them, and I'll probably be a senator and helping them out any way possible. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being here. That's great.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bhavika. I'm the freshman class liaison. And so today we also had our pep rally. We were absolutely crushed by the juniors, but tomorrow we're versing the seniors. Hopefully we'll have some luck then. And tomorrow is also our SCL activity, and our focus for that is mindfulness. And so we're going to do a slideshow led by student facilitators. And we'll start off with like a quick warm-up, just asking information like, do you know any ways to practice mindfulness, or what do you know about it? And after going a little bit more in depth, we're going to focus on ways you can practice mindfulness. And this is just so important because we really want to keep all of the freshmen engaged. We know that the end of the school year is coming, and we want to ensure that they're learning about mindfulness and they can really take what we're teaching them and implement it in their daily lives, because mindfulness is such an important and complex concept to understand. So we want to make sure that our slideshow is helpful and all of the freshmen can really take something from it. And so after having our open discussions to really get the class engaged and make sure that they can implement something in their lives from what we've said, we're going to just recap everything in our presentation with a really amazing and wonderful TED Talk we found. And just as a cool down from all of the presentations and TED Talks, we're going to end with the fun bingo. And the homerooms will actually get to make their own cards to make it more personalized. And so we decided to end off with more of a fun way. And if we have some time left, we're also going to end with a guided meditation just as a cool down, and then everyone can go home. So that is our SEL activity for tomorrow. And I just want to say this is my first year being a freshman, liaison. And I just want to thank the board and everyone who made all of the meetings possible. It's been an amazing and really insightful experience. And yeah, just thank you to everyone.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I've always said this, the student representatives are such an important part of our meetings now, and they really bring such a great perspective to us. This is the reason why we do a lot of what we do, and it's always the joy of seeing them speak and how respectful and how much they've developed. Even over the years, we see differences between them and just the maturity levels, and they're just amazing. I wish I was like them at their age. They're just fabulous. So thank you all for being here. I know it's extra time out of your day as well, or night. So we always love their attendance. Next, we are on to board committee reports. So if Mark, curriculum, do you want to start?
Hello. So curriculum met on June 10th. In attendance were Carol Butler, Scott McCartney, Jeff Airy, Sandra Alberti McWeeks, Lauren Romano, myself, Gavin Quinn, Matt Keith, Jackie Burnell, Lisa Trapani, and Donna Tortu. So we talked about a couple things. One of the first things that we talked about was Gavin came in and discussed the new textbook adoption for honors chemistry. So starting next year, honors chemistry is going to be using it's really a program. It's not necessarily a textbook, which is why he was so excited about it. And it takes a phenomenological approach to chemistry, which is another thing we were talking a lot about. I'm pretty excited. So it starts with a story, goes into investigating, and then supplemental understandings and everyday experiences, and then back to that sort of phenomena. So it treats them as real-world experiences. It has lots of opportunities to assess students adaptively with the kinds of questions that make them better scientists. So the labs are able to be tiered, and you can have 4 different versions of the same lab going in the same class. So affords a lot of opportunities for differentiation. The downside is that it's only for honors chemistry right now. So we have after the first marking period, we'll be looking at how well it's being implemented and sort of the what can be learned. But overall, he was pretty excited about it. The next thing we talked about was so Lisa Trapani and Donna Tortu came in to talk about some of the high school social emotional initiatives that they started even before COVID, just to talk about sort of the kinds of things, how they adapted during COVID, and what they might look like next year and beyond. So things like staff book clubs, student and staff chill-in chats, Truth Talk series, and a number of other opportunities. It culminated with a discussion of there was an MEF grant for a PD at the Mohata Stables, where staff went for a weekend and used equine therapy and that kind of thing to understand bias and those sorts of things. So it was very well received. The staff that was in attendance spoke very highly of it. And again, as a board, we're very grateful for the initiatives that, again, were started before COVID for these types of things, as we obviously think SEL is really important. Social emotional learning and all of that is very important. WAM summer reading was the next topic. Matt Keith discussed the students are going to have an option of 6 books, And all the books are linked thematically. So obviously students will be recommended to read as many books as they can. The conversation won't be necessarily book plot specific. It'll be much more thematic, linking the books together and the sort of things. Ultimately, the theme of the American experience and resilience, that will happen on October 1st, which leads right into their Week of Respect, the first week of October. We'd also discussed the ELA pilot for K-5. So Jackie Brunel, originally this was something that had been in the works for a while. They went back in January to look again at what they had sort of determined for this pilot. And given everything that's happened in the last 12 months, that seems like a really good idea. So given what they sort of went back to and looked, they ended up deciding for Interreading, which is an HMH product. It has a very robust complement of online materials that are updated for all the reasons that we would expect them to be these days. The sort of logistics are in the 21-22 school year, 25% of the teachers K-5 will be piloting the new ELA program. That's about one class per grade per building at the K-3 level, and then 25% of the UES appropriate students. This includes basic skills and special ed teachers as well in that 25%, with the intent of then in the 22-23 school year, the other 75% then adapting that same curriculum. The last thing we talked about was Carol Butler gave sort of an update on a number of things, not the least of which was the summer enrichment program that will be happening in July. Talked about enrollment. So in terms of the logistics, the 439 students were given invitations to the summer program, and 217 as of Monday had agreed to attend or had accepted. So obviously that's half. As a board, we talked about sort of keep being very mindful of the other half that didn't opt to, because these were students that were recommended for this enrichment program. We also talked about sort of packets that might be available for the summer, how they might differ from this year, from in previous years, and that sort of thing. And that all of that is really grade and subject specific in terms of the packets. And the only thing I would want to say to conclude is, as Carol is transitioning from this role to another, I wanted to also express my gratitude for the many efforts that I have seen personally on behalf of our students. So as an end there. So thank you.
I guess Jack, policy.
Thank you, Karen. Policy met on June 7th. In attendance were Carol Butler, Matt Keith, Scott McCartney, Lauren Romano, Mark Villanueva, and myself. We discussed the policies on first reading. 0131 formalizes bylaw policy and regulation management. 2421 is revisions per statute. 3134 better defines assignments of extra duties to staff. 3142 clarifies that days are, in fact, calendar days. 3221, 3222, 3223, and 3224 are statutory date revisions due to COVID-19. 4146 is statute reference changes and another clarification that days are calendar days. 5460.02 is a bridge pilot program where certain students can remain in the district for another year. 6471 establishes maximum business travel expenses not requiring board approval. And 8561 is removing the chart titled Federal Funds Procurement Method Selection Chart because it is so frequently updated. That's my report.
Great. Thanks, Jack. Any questions for Jack? Nope. So David and Drea are not here. Sandra, do you have an update?
There we go. So I'll kind of give an update, maybe a little bit for Drea and a little bit for the committee to explore race and racism in Morristown. And that is that we collaborated for the planning and pulling together a community engagement forum to kind of share what each of the subcommittees has been working on over the years. And so we've organized since the winter time in 5 subcommittees, one about hiring for diversity, one about representation in the curriculum, safe spaces for all students, academic thriving, which Claire mentioned in her report, and fair treatment for all students. And what we have done over the year is have subcommittee meetings that include parents, include teachers, administrators, and students to think about what some goals might be for the district in the year upcoming, as well as some learning opportunities so that we can take action going forward, considering that we have some really big opportunities with new leadership positions. We felt the most responsible thing to do would be to inform the development of a strategic plan rather than have a strategic plan, and we're looking forward to continuing to engage in that work and building a more robust strategic plan going forward. And so in the community engagement forum, each of the subcommittees shared some of the learnings that they've had over the year, and I am very proud to say that each of the subcommittees, we had breakout rooms that were all facilitated by our students, just to continue to echo the positivity of giving students true, authentic voice and leadership roles always serves us very well. We have a lot to learn from those kids that we have the privilege of supporting in this work that we're all here to do. So that's both communications a bit and the Committee for Exploring Race and Racism.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Anyone have an off-board committee report? Sure, go ahead, Mick.
So, as a member of More Arts, I got this update from them because I missed the meeting due to being at the Race and Racism Community Forum. But they wanted me to share that More Arts this year awarded 10 scholarships to graduating seniors this year, which is great. The only unfortunate part is that they only received 10 applications. So, I'm not quite sure why that is, but everybody who applied got a scholarship. More Arts is also sponsoring the Morristown High School Junior Senior Prom at the yellow sponsor level. Again, showing their support for our students and their arts. The district art show will be virtual again this year. Please check the Morristown Township Public Schools website in the next few weeks for the amazing student artwork. And they wanted to make sure that we share the thanks to Trish Rowe, who is curating the event. And then also wanted to congratulate the directorial team, cast and crew of the Morristown High School Fall Play, who received the top prize at the Montclair Awards this year. So those are the notes they wanted me to share with the board.
Great, thank you, Mick. Anyone else? I just wanted to, of course, give a plug to Morristown Education Foundation. As I said last time, Lauren and I are members. We are dwindling, so we are really looking for volunteers to join the Education Foundation. Some of the great things the foundation does, it funds some of the innovative projects the district just can't do because our budget is so limited. And some of the things that Mark was talking about the horses and the stables, and we've done the innovation lab at WAMS, and there's so many great things. So there's a big golf outing, but in addition to that, we are involved in some of these teacher grants. It's a great way to get involved, and it's not a huge time commitment, but it's a nice way to get involved in the community. So if anyone's ever interested in joining MEF, feel free to reach out to Lauren or myself, and we could pass the word on. Great. I think we are ready to go into public comment. So is there a motion to open public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yes.
For agenda items.
As we move, this is only for agenda items, our public comment, and please, if you do come to the microphone, please be wearing a mask. First comment section, again, is only for agenda items. When your name is called, please state your name and address. You will have 3 minutes to speak. This is not a question and answer period, and it's always best to follow up with an email. Just so everyone understands also the process, this is a meeting of the board that happens to be in public. So the advantage now of live streaming is that people have access to it. But from what we learn in a lot of our training and also from our council, as Leisha said to us and John many times, that this is a meeting of the board in public. not necessarily answering questions, but we are open to public comment. So please do not address board members individually, and please be respectful when making public comment. So first up to, I guess the microphone right over there. Sure, go ahead. Just state your name and address, please. Can you time it? I'm so bad at that.
Can I take this off while I speak? So
Sure.
I like it to be clear. Yes, I'll put it right back. Thank you. My name is Katie Sullivan. I live at 35 Brooks Road. I would like to begin by thanking the incredible principals and the teachers of this district, especially those at South Valley, for everything they have done for our kids this year. I would also like to wish Mrs. Montagano congratulations on her retirement. I'm really grateful that you guys honored her tonight. She's a South Valley faith. I would also like to thank the 3 board members who wrote to Governor Murphy last week requesting a revocation of the mask mandate for New Jersey schools. My husband and I wholeheartedly support this and believe that mask use should be optional in our school buildings as they are in every other entity in the state. Over the last year and a half, our response to the pandemic within the school district, by removing children from in-person learning and then implementing mask use when they returned, has had a negative impact on their health. As a pediatric nurse in the community, over the last 15 months, I have witnessed an increase in reports of anxiety and depression in the pediatric population, alarmingly high rates of suicide attempts, horrific cases of child abuse, obesity and new onset diabetes, exacerbation of eating disorders, problems with vision related to excessive screen use, and social and emotional distress. With regard to mask use among children, I have seen increased reports of headaches, particularly migraines, complaints of dizziness, lethargy, difficulty breathing, bloody noses, skin lesions, rashes, and acne, bacterial and fungal skin infections, skin breakdown behind their ears, poor dentition, including increased cavities, mouth sores, and abscesses, stunted speech development, reduced ability to concentrate, cognitive decline, and an exacerbation of mental health issues. We also know that in regards to COVID-19 itself, the pediatric population has been minimally impacted by the virus with mild symptoms, few hospital admissions, and a nearly non-existent mortality rate. We cannot accept your safety plan for the upcoming school year if this includes masking our children for 8 to 9 hours per day, 5 days per week. I respect you as leaders of this community and urge you to end the mask mandate in our schools.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
I'm going to keep my mask down. What an interesting night. Interesting night, right? When I'm ready.
Name and address, please.
When I'm ready. No, I'll give it to you when I'm ready. So you guys are spaced kind of close, right? Does anybody have 2 masks on? Does anybody have goggles on? Do you have a shield on?
There's a process by which we have open public meetings. You are to come to the microphone, state your name and address. Then you're not welcome to speak. You're not welcome to speak. I'm not speaking as a member of the public meeting. I'm an employee of the board. If you would like to speak, we're giving you the opportunity to speak. The rules state that you should. Please return the microphone.
Bill Blanche, 325 Springhouse Lane. My 3 boys are here too because we didn't have a babysitter tonight. But I just find it interesting. I mean, has anybody gone out to dinner at this table? Because you don't have to wear a mask when you go out to dinner. You're sitting like a foot apart. I mean, it's just what we say and what we do sometimes puzzles me a little bit with this whole pandemic. I do want to compliment our staff and faculty at Roberts School. Tremendous. Mr. Roberts or Mr. Carter is My kids love going to school. Let's just put it that way. So if there's a positive in this, they did everything that they could possibly do to make this normal for our kids. There's districts throughout this state that have taken surveys to determine what the parents' thoughts are. Because technically you guys work for us, right? Like you want to know what our thoughts are, what we want for our kids. Do you plan on sending out a survey to the parents? Because I feel like more people are in my boat than another boat, which is let's get rid of these masks and move on. My kid can go to Target. My kid can go out to eat. He can't go to school unless he has a mask on. That's puzzling. Again, it just doesn't make any sense. Is there going to be a survey? Is that part of our SRP? Does anybody want to comment or?
No, this is just public comment for you to speak.
Okay. So Dr. McCartney, my wife emailed you specifically stating that there was over 30 school districts where their superintendent actually wrote a letter to the governor asking him to end the mask mandate. You've yet to write a letter, and in your response, you said, in fact, we're wholeheartedly want to be mask-free, but yet you didn't write a letter requesting that. You kind of hid behind the Executive Order 175. So to me, that's not fighting for our children. That's just getting in line. And I do want to applaud, because it didn't go unnoticed in my household. There was 3 members that did sign and send a letter to our governor. And this is growing in Jersey. It's over 30 school districts now. So I urge you, write a letter to the governor. These kids need to be mask free. I just got done coaching baseball. If you guys witness the weekends of what's happening, these kids aren't wearing masks. They're having fun. They're being kids. The control at school has got to end. And that's what it is. Kids sitting on dots, being told how to eat a snack when they can take their mask down. That's not education. It's communism. Being told what to do every minute of the day. So finally, I'm done empowering people to decide what's best for my kids. So I'll look every single one of you in the eye. I'm done empowering you to decide what's best for my kid. My kid's coming back to this school next year, and they're going to be mask-free. Okay? Because I'm going to decide what's best for me. And any parent that stands with me, let's join the fight. Put out the survey and you'll see. Okay?
Thank you. Your
I
time
feel
is
like
up.
we're hiding behind guidelines. No, I'll be done when I'm done. I feel like
No,
we're hiding.
We have a 3-minute limit, please.
That's fine. I'll be done when I'm done.
No, we have a 3-minute time limit.
Excuse me.
Please.
The chair you're in was paid for by taxpayers, right? I'm a tax.
Sir, if you want to be part of the meeting, follow the rules. The board president has asked you and given you more than ample time to respond. You can call me. I'm happy to hear from you. I'll set up an appointment with you. We have an audience. Folks, what we need, if you have a question, you can call me and I'm happy to talk to you. I did. You just read my answer.
Okay.
Sir,
That's fine. Please, this is disruptive to our meeting. Please.
The simple answer that we've written and sent to every family in this community multiple times is that there is an executive order written by the governor that does not exclude schools from wearing masks indoors. You can read it. You can call the governor's office. You can take a group of people to there and raise your concern. We support that. We asked the Board of Education if they'd like to write a letter. Several did, and we've moved forward. I'm not going to go back and forth. We're finished, sir.
Okay,
So we're on
please.
to the next person,
Please,
please.
it's time to.
None of it makes sense, I understand.
We agree. A lot doesn't make sense, but please, we need to move on to our next person, please.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
I'm not
We're-
going to
we-
have an individual debate with you, sir. Thank you.
Please, the time is
Thank
up.
you.
Let's next. Colette, you could, yep.
Colette Lamidi at 68 Red Leaf Road. First of all, I just needed some clarification because I thought this part of the public comment was related to the agenda. Did I miss that we're talking about masks at this time? So I wanted to clarify that. But I did have a question related to the agenda, and doesn't have to be answered here, but just related to the committee report that was discussed, specifically the ERCC. And what I was curious about is, with the facts of, one of the biggest hiring that we're going to be doing coming up, and that we haven't actually solidified the plan. I understand what was said as far as, the new people that are coming in and wanting their input and their involvement. But I'm just thinking about, how do we, sort of not have some of those things in place, and the values that we would be looking for as a community, as a school, for the biggest position. So that's a question that I have, and I don't know who I should direct my email to. Sandra, maybe? No, Karen?
You can direct it to me. I'll definitely
So
be
that's
happy to
my
talk to
question.
you. Yep.
That was that. But are we talking about masks right now? Can we clarify that? Is that part of the open comment?
It's part of the Safe Return to School plan, so technically it is.
So that was what was, okay. Just want to clarify. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Andrea Lawson, 781 Garwood Road. I applaud the 3 members who wrote to the governor on June 7th as individual people not representing the board to lift the mask mandate. I wrote the board on June 13th asking to lift the mandate and received a response from our Board of Ed president that she too plans to write the governor, but wasn't comfortable with the statements and statistics that were included in the letter her colleagues sent. As of Sunday, June 13th, the Board of Ed president had not written this letter. In my opinion, if the Board of Ed president or any of the other 6 members intended to write a different or supplemental letter to the governor, they would have done so by now. I am here to ask the Board of Ed again to make the mask mandate optional for ESY and next year. Just to recap, my 7-year-old special education daughter with an IEP and communication impairment had in-person learning reduced from 5 days to 4 days in January. My daughter's class had 2 children, 4 days a week. I had to pay to play for my daughter to receive in-person support to cover the virtual learning on Fridays. The school felt it was fine for my daughter to be in class with 10 kids with no certified teacher rather than a class with 2 kids and a special ed teacher in order to keep it fair for the teachers. March 16th, I was asking this board to return to 5 full days in-person learning and reinstate a meeting with physicians that was canceled due to wanting to, quote, wait and see any release of new guidelines. On June 7th, Superintendent Mccartney wrote another parent that masking was routine. On June 13th, I shared with the Board of Ed the adverse reactions of wearing a face mask and the impact it had on my 7-year-old daughter. My youngest child, Sarah, is 7 years old, has a speech and language disability. She's an IEP, receives pull-out education, special speech and language therapy, as well as occupational therapy. The use of a face mask restricts both her airways as well as her ability to communicate. It is critical for my speech and language impaired child to be able to watch her teachers, therapists, and peers' lips, mouth, and tongue when they speak. This is one tool that my daughter uses to compensate for her disability. It is not an articulation issue, like people simply can't understand her, but to put in perspective, Sarah has to balance her breath, think about her specific tongue and lip placement, as well as manage her saliva, all while thinking and processing what she's trying to communicate. An easy and natural task for most, but an absolute struggle for my 7-year-old. Furthermore, the mask has physically cut my daughter on both sides of her face, as well as scratched her cheek. Sarah has needed treatment of medicated ointment, which sticks to the mask, from the school nurse as well as home. The emotional distress is devastating. She has an increase in tardiness because she's crying many mornings and doesn't want to go to school because the mask hurts her. This district made a decision to not open a single full day in person because it was too difficult and costly for the cafeteria, and now has mask mandates because it's routine. Okay. I am asking you to stop making excuses, start being leaders, utilize the governor's exception clause, which empowers school officials to make the best decision for their buildings and communities.
Time is up. If you
It
could
is
start
time
wrap
to
up.
demonstrate to the community you are attentive to your learners' needs. And just one final question. Were you wearing masks when you met privately in the executive meeting? So can you clarify what the rules are and where to find them so we can find and reference to them? Thank you.
Thank you.
Wearing this mask down that hallway was the longest I've worn it in the last 10 weeks. So, Sarah Rivera, 105 Smith Court. My mom is a 66-year-old pancreatic cancer patient. Every other week since December 16th, my mom has sat in the Penn Infusion Center for her 8-hour chemotherapy appointment and then goes home with a 46-hour drip of yet another chemo. My mom goes to ShopRite literally every day unmasked, even with her portable chemo. The one on Arc Road, you can go see her. She's there every day. She also frequents many Main Street restaurants and stores unmasked on a weekly basis. Shout out to Oriental Pearl, Maurizio's, and Ralph's Market for showing her patience and grace as she slowly moves about and makes corny jokes. My mom also sees my unmasked children every day. My kids attend school, they play group sports, have sleepovers, and can you believe it? They share food with their friends. My mom hosts happy hours for her neighbors, unmasked, of course, and has my unmasked kids and their germ-infested, mask-free children or friends over to her house as well. My mom is fully capable of making decisions that are in her medical, physical, social, and emotional best interest. The same holds true for every parent in our district. We will decide what is in the best interest of our children. We are their parents. To our BOE members, your time is up. There will no longer be patience and grace shown to you as you cower behind the union, speak in platitudes, or send your trite, meaningless, and often rude email replies to parents. That is, if a reply is even sent. You have done enough damage to our children, and we are done. In September, our children will not be forced to wear a mask. We're taking back our schools. And as my mother would say, shit or get off the pot.
Good evening, Jill Macaluso, 800 Golfview Road. As I've mentioned every time I've addressed the board, I believe we have a big culture problem. Most notably, we lack transparency and inclusion. Haddonfield has a policy for outdoor masking. No masks are required. It's been around for months. It can easily be found with a few clicks on their website. Even in the face of ever-evolving guidance, this district did it well. Their board met and discussed important policy topics in public forums, and they set clear, reasonable standards for the district. They were then transparent about those standards. In Morristown, there's been very little transparency. Parents are left confused and guessing, and it leads to frustration and divide in our community. We take to Facebook to advocate on social media, where we should really know that nobody is actively listening to us. Tonight, I ask that you foster an inclusive culture by making eye contact, listening to me actively, nodding your heads, and appreciating my smile. Parents are worried you are too reactive, that we do not have solid plans for return to school next year, and many, including myself, are worried that our kids are going to be wearing masks. We know you have to follow governor's orders, but we'd like to see you be more reasonable when there is flexibility, to take a stance and make a decision. Be proactive. But our experience from this year doesn't give us faith in your leadership to set clear and transparent standards or in masks or any other important topics that will be covered in the return to school plan we will hear about. We've experienced spending hours discussing double PPE, moving targets like indoor dining capacity, no mandated mask breaks, masks were required outdoors, even when they were long not required by government standards. So we just don't have faith. Time and time again, because there were no top-down, clear and transparent standards on important topics like outdoor masking or mask breaks. We were told to reach out to the superintendent, then told to reach out to the principals, and sometimes even the teacher pods that our students are in. This results in confusion and churn. We do not trust that it will be better in fall. We were worried that the government guidance won't be crystal clear, and once again, this board will not act specifically about masks, but more broadly on lots of important topics critical to reopening. We are worried this board will say, oh, those decisions are operations, and you will give discretion to the superintendent. we will end up in the same sad state of affairs we are in right now: complexity, confusion, and complacency. Tonight, as I look forward to what I really want to be a bright future, I ask this board, and specifically the policy committee, to reevaluate its role and responsibility. Especially with an interim superintendent in place, you cannot give sole decision-making to the super on school reopening plans more broadly, masks, or other important policy decisions. We are tired of the wait-and-see approach. We are tired of the bare minimum. We need inclusive platforms for parents to weigh in on important topics, and we need to see this board deliberate on topics in a public forum. We need standards that are reasonable and based on science and logic. We need your leadership as we head into the fall. In conclusion, we need you to start being proactive in your planning, foster a culture of transparency and inclusion, and start making decisions in the best interest of kids. In the spirit of transparency, I respectfully ask for you to answer the question posed by Andrea Lawson about whether you were or were not wearing masks when you met in private session. And if you were not wearing masks, I would like to understand what you're citing for not wearing masks. You have a responsibility to set a tone at the top, foster the behavior you want to see, and I'd like an answer.
Time is up, please.
Elizabeth Pollard, 64 Brooks Road. First of all, Dr. Mccartney, thank you for your dedication and commitment to our children and for ensuring the safest and best possible learning environment for them during the last 5 years, and most specifically during the last year. Thank you to the board as well. All the best to you and your family. You'll be missed. A few words about masks and vaccines. Masks are a means to prevent the spread of potentially deadly diseases and the short and long-term complications of these diseases. Masks substantially reduce exhaled respiratory droplets and aerosols from infected wearers and reduce exposure of uninfected wearers to these particles. Masks and vaccinations have been instrumental in getting COVID-19 under control. These cases we are seeing now are primarily in those who are not vaccinated, illustrating the efficacy of the vaccine. As we know, the newer Delta variant of this disease, well, I don't know if you know, is responsible for approximately 10% of cases in the United States, is more transmissible, and can cause more severe disease. The Delta strain is predicted to be the most dominant strain in 3 weeks. Fortunately, available vaccines are effective against this variant. In order to continue to keep our students and staff safe, we should continue to utilize masks in schools until the vaccine becomes available to children under 12. Utilizing case rate and positivity rate data are helpful as well. I willingly and thankfully agree with those who quote very low rates of disease, morbidity, and mortality in children. I also note that doing everything we can to prevent every single case should be our goal. A single preventable case is unacceptable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I think the beautiful thing about this world is we all are allowed to have our own opinion. So thank you on all spectrums of opinions. Nicole McHenry, 3 Shelter Rock Place. I want to bring up a topic today called choice. And before I get to the why of this topic, let me give you a little background of the reason I bring it up. We as parents have hundreds, probably thousands of choices from the moment we find out we're going to be a parent. We choose to have that child, what their name will be, their religion, the clothing they'll wear, medical choices, etc. You get the point. And then we come to the school age and we have choices again to make, public or private. Maybe those who are daring, they choose homeschool. I, for one, have never had that on my list of choices, as most of our teachers will understand why. But my husband and I made a choice. We made a choice that we wanted to provide our children with opportunities beyond what we had. We made that choice to be a 2-income household to do this and to not sacrifice other goals. We made the choice to purchase a project of a home and keep it in the family, then plant our roots here in Morristown. And we did this all to give our children the best public education within our means. Do you understand why I say this? Because I am among a very large portion of people in this town that chose to come here for the schools. This is a fact. We did this. It is the biggest driving force of why people are coming to Morristown. Every teacher, every staff member should applaud yourself for that because you have created that. However, let's get to the why of this and the topic I'm presenting you. Each of you have made a choice to run for the Board of Education. You chose this role and your purpose behind your campaigns. You chose to volunteer in this position and represent the families and the children of this town. You chose to be an advocate for kids, knowing very well you were going to be put in positions that you would have to stand up to the union, who continually is advocating for the teachers and contracts because that is their job. So we are clear here. It is absolutely possible to compromise when in those situations. But never should that compromise be at the expense of our children, neither by the board or the union. So we are understanding now, sadly, I think we can see that this year that has happened way too often. Our children have been what we have compromised. There is no excuse as to why they were not back in school 5 days way before we had moved into that direction. There's no science that supports why they should not be full day like majority of our neighboring and competing districts. And as we move towards herd immunity and the science behind disease, there is no reason to keep these kids masked. In fact, the benefits at this point certainly do not outweigh the risk for a good majority of our children and teachers. This is not a CDC or governor's choice, as you continually state. It is the board's choice. So what you are ultimately doing is choosing to put these children at risk emotionally, physically, and educationally, while continually taking away our choice as parents of what is best. We are all
Time is
tired
up.
of
If you could
fighting.
please wrap up.
I'm sorry?
Please wrap up. Time is up.
You've wasted 15 months of my kids' lives. You can give me 2 more minutes, Ms. Shaw. We are all tired of fighing to have our rights back for what is
I'm
best for our
sorry.
children.
Everyone has 3 minutes,
Oh,
please.
you're good.
Please.
We are
Cut the-
We've given everyone a safe. Mrs. McHenry? Mrs. McHenry? We've asked you to respect the rules of the Board of Education. No, with all due respect, there is a process. This is a public meeting of the board. There are rules by which we ask people to participate. We understand you have a disagreement. You've written, we've heard you. We understand, but at this point, we've given everyone 3 minutes to speak, and then you need to speak. We need to move to the next speaker, or we'll close public portion.
Please, could we please move on? Then we're going to have a motion to adjourn again. Please, thank you for your public comment. Thank you. Thank you for your comments, please. Yes, I am. Okay. We have a process, please. Okay.
Good evening, Melissa Arcaro Burns, 8 Brooks Road. First, I'd like to thank the board members, the teachers, and the staff who made this year happen. I have a senior. We had no idea what this year was going to look like, and the events and the opportunities that she has had have been terrific, and we really are appreciative of that. I'd like to also thank Student Council, who worked tirelessly to make all of these events happen, including the prom. I have to say I am incredibly disappointed in the behavior of Mr. Weinstein and Mr. Villanueva for not respecting the mask policy in the building and then refusing to do what they were.
Melissa, please don't mention individual
Sorry.
board members.
Well, I'm sorry? Well, I mean, obviously I can have as much time as I want since they are doing that as well. As of right now, the CDC recommends masks while indoors for people who cannot yet be vaccinated. Institutions who specialize in the medical care of children, like Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, also recommend masks for children who cannot yet be vaccinated while they are indoors. These are medical experts. These are the people and institutions you should be relying on when making decisions relative to the health of our students. You should be guided by the science and the recommendations of the experts, period. Many of our 7th through 12th graders have already been vaccinated or can be. However, our K through 6 students do not have the option. Therefore, they need this BOE to step up and do the right thing by them and by these parents in this town and maintain the mask mandate while in school buildings. Masks are inconvenient and they are annoying. They're not traumatizing and they're not dangerous. Masks have protected people all over the world since the start of this pandemic. In the absence of a vaccine, masks are the only scientifically proven way to prevent the spread of the coronavirus, and the only way we were able to gain any control over this virus. Facts are still facts, regardless of what an angry mob says or what someone posts on Facebook. To hear anyone justify the lifting of this mandate by saying the kids are not dying is so disrespectful. Kids, especially those with underlying health conditions, are becoming gravely ill as a result of the virus. People who hold that position simply discount the effects, both short and long term, that this virus has on children and their families. We are supposed to be a community. We are supposed to be in this together. However, we clearly are not. No one is in this with me and my 10-year-old son with multiple pre-existing conditions that make him more likely to be one of the children who are severely affected by this virus.
Melissa, time's up. If you could just wrap up, please. Time's up.
Kids like him need others to care enough to continue wearing masks while in the school buildings. Kids like him need this board to step up to the pressure to remove the mask mandate. It is the job of this board and our administration to protect our students, whether it is from guns in our schools, abusive adults, sports injuries, or in this case, a virus. It is sad but
Melissa,
clear
if
that
you could please wrap up.
I am. It is sad but clear that many people in this town do not understand what it means to care about other people. The good news is they do not vote on whether our district maintains this mandate, but you do. And this community needs you to set an example that shows we are still a town full of people who try to do the most good for the most people, especially for those who are the most vulnerable. Absent CDC guidelines to the contrary, I'm asking this board to continue the requirement for masking for at least our students in K through 6.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board. Mike Jubinick, 137 Avon Terrace. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I would ask the Board to consider this issue as an issue of choice, okay? I don't think there's a person in this room that would suggest that as a parent that there's anyone who's better able to make a choice about their child's well-being or health than that parent. So let that parent make the choice. If that lady wants her kid to wear a mask, he can wear a mask, okay? My child, I do not want him to wear a mask, either of them. So let me make the choice for my child. I do it every day when I decide whether my kid can play soccer or hockey or any other sport where he could be seriously injured or damaged, break a leg, break an arm, do something like that. That's a decision I make every day when my child wants to ride a bike or go somewhere to play with his friends. I weigh the risks. It's my decision. And again, I don't think there's a parent in this room that would suggest that there's anyone better to make that decision than the parent themselves. That's all we're simply asking for, is let us have the choice. She can wear the mask. It's very simple. Thank you.
Thank you. My name's Tom Arecki, 307 Fairview. So I was thinking about some things to say, but it seems like most people already said them. So I can dispute some of the opposing views to vaccine and mask wearing that were brought up by a few of the people here. First thing, there's no evidence that masks actually have done anything as far as aerosol and how we spread the disease. Okay, so we have this one side that says the masks serve a purpose, and we have the other side that says that, right? We have this science that actually mainstream media science and CDC science and FDA and pharma science saying one thing and pushing it. And then we have some of the real science out there or opposing science. And these two would never get together and have this discussion, okay? So that's where we're at now. That's why there's all the confusion. Mass social distancing was proven. Yeah, let's drop it down now to 3 feet from 6 feet. I mean, it's just absurd, right? So this isn't science. This is just trying to get everyone sort of believing and keeping going with this whatever it is. The children haven't been affected. Now, this is interesting. We're talking about a population that has been more affected by the actual mandates than the virus. And we all could agree with that. You got any science on, right? So, and you guys are smart people, right? Else you wouldn't be up there. So we know this. And we all know another thing. This is the government in New Jersey, and you guys are under pressure. We understand this, right? We'll take care of that later. But for right now, we need to start thinking on our own here and listening to the real science if you need to make your decision, instead of a governor who actually believes he knows something that top scientists don't know. We understand that the CDC is giving recommendations, and maybe he wants to follow. Okay, so let's just say this: the mask mandates, we know they affected our children. You guys are educators, or the teachers. They know how they affect the children psychologically. But we all know that this is pushing forward to the vaccine, right? The mandated vaccine. You want to don't want to wear a mask, you're going to have to be vaccinated. And that's what we're pushing to. I guarantee by September, these vaccines will be approved for all school-age children. This is what they're pushing for. Now, let me just say a little bit about the vaccine. Remember, this is still EUA, right? Emergency use authorization only. This is still an experimental drug. What the FDA states is that the only use of this drug is if the benefit overrides the risk. Give me the stats here. School-age children, the risk and benefit. There's more risk to them getting this vaccine than benefit, right? Let's look at the stats. Who's getting sick?
Please wrap up.
So that's the only way that drug can be given to our children. If we feel it's more dangerous, for the virus is more dangerous than the drug, right? And it's not. It hasn't been proven. These kids are not getting sick. All right? So
thank you. Your 3 minutes is up. Thank you.
That.
Hi, I'm Anthony Dragan, 547 Eagle Brook Drive. I'm not going to talk about the masks and the vaccines and stuff like that because I think it's been said. What I am going to talk about is that my grandparents fled with nothing but the clothes on their backs and their young children to leave a country where party officials would huddle together and have one set of rules for themselves. And then when they came out in public and saw that there was opposition, they used the police to clear the room out of there. That's what they did. So this room, let the record reflect, is pretty much empty, okay? Except for a small group of people who are here really engaged. You would think with all the self-congratulations that's gone on here tonight, we should have a room full of people giving rousing standing ovations. Right? But we don't. It's empty. For the people who are watching at home, because I was there and then I came down here, when I saw what went on at the beginning of this. It's empty, okay? So here's the thing. The only reason we had what we had this year was because people like Jill drug you by your nostrils to open the schools. That's it. And it's not for any other reason than that. And I applaud Jill. If you have anything more to say, you can come up and say it. I yield the balance of my time to anybody else who wants to come up and say it.
Dennis Radke, 11 Wagonbridge Run. I'm up here because I'm tired of the hypocrisy of this board and the administration. This whole year we've heard we want the kids back in school, yet it took months and months to get you guys to commit to 5 days. Now we want the kids to be safe. We don't want them to have no masks. Yet there hasn't been any attempt by the overall board as a collective to send a letter to the governor. Not one. Not from the superintendent, and it took 3 board members separately. So where do you guys really want the kids that have the mask opportunity to have the opportunity to decide, yes, I want to have a mask, or no, I don't? Last thing, no, not last thing. There are several, with the Executive Order 175, it gave the districts the opportunity to make a decision whether or not they want the kids to wear masks. There's several districts in this state that chose that opportunity, yet we're deciding, oh no, the executive order says we can't do it, which is a lie. There's several districts that allowed that to happen, yet we're afraid to take any action because we're a reactive administration. Finally, I'm going to ask the question that's been asked and not one person has answered. Did you or did you not wear a mask during your executive meeting? Yes or no? No, yes or no? Did you guys not wear a mask in the executive meeting and then put on a show and put a mask on out here? I know. Yes or no? I still got another minute and a half. Yes or no? Why are you guys afraid to answer that question? Huh? Answer the question. Why, if you're in Dr. McCartney, you guys stated we are in an educational building. Masks are required. But yet I know for a fact that you guys didn't wear it back there. The hypocrisy is disgusting. Makes me want to spit that you guys lie to us and not have a mask on out there, but put one on here. So did you wear a mask in the executive meeting? Yes or no? Yes or no? You can't even look at me, some of you. Yes or no? No. I said some of you. Yes or no? Why can't you answer the question whether or not you wear a mask in a meeting? That yet you come out here and you tell all of us we have to wear a mask. I don't want to hear it's a public forum. You're still on board property. You're on board education property, district property. You should be wearing a mask in an executive meeting. Yet I know you guys can do it, but yet you don't have the guts to tell us that you don't wear a mask. Why not? What are you afraid of? Step up and take some action for the kids. Stop hiding behind those masks and do something for the kids that's best for them and not for your own well-being.
Karam, 441 Aldershot Avenue. I'm a fifth grader in fifth grader at Morristown Upper Elementary School, and I've never felt that a mask is harming me in any way, and that and that it is causing people to be seriously injured because of something that covers their
Your time. Take your time.
Their face. and that it is not abuse to children for them to wear a mask. And no.
Great, thank you so much.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Nicholas Walzak, and I'm a fifth grader at UES. I want to start off right away by saying that none of the students like wearing a mask. We hate them. I can't stand being in a mask for then an hour until I have to go to the bathroom, so I can just take my mask off and breathe. In fact, it makes me angry. I used to love school. I used to look forward to get on the bus, seeing my teachers and friends. Now I'd rather stay home, even though it's lonely. It's better than being in a mask. The mask makes me sick. I get sick to my stomach, and I have headaches every day. My mom was giving me Tylenol and Tums just so I could feel better. And by the way, did you know that taking Tylenol every day can cause stomach and kidney problems? Do you also know that I have a greater chance of dying from the flu than I have from COVID? So why are the children being forced to wear masks? They don't even work. I want to feel comfortable and safe in school. I want to see my teachers' smiling faces and my friends smiling and laughing. Now I see angry or happy because I can't read their expressions. It's very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable, and I don't feel okay anymore. It makes me very sad. I have anxiety thinking about wearing a mask again and again next year. I don't want to go back at all. I'm afraid to stand close to my friends in school, not because I'm afraid of getting sick, because I'm afraid of teachers getting angry. I don't want this way of learning. Can we learn when we are stressed? It's hard enough to focus because I have ADHD, and it's 100 times worse when I'm wearing a mask. How can any people focus with a mask? Because all I keep thinking about is wanting to take it off. We can't learn this way. It's not fair. We are healthy kids, but we are treated like full of germs, and it doesn't feel very good. I really wanted to do field day with my friends because I didn't really want to do field day because I had to wear a mask. I would rather sit home. There's nothing fun about wearing a mask. We want our fun lives back. We want to be kids again. We want to breathe. Let us breathe. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we're going to close public comment now. There is another section towards the end. Nicola, do you want to? One last one? Okay. Sorry, I missed the raised hands. Those two, and then we're closing public comment.
Nicola Hampton, 725 North Stanwick Road. A lot has been said tonight. One key thing I'd like to agree with is the gentleman who mentioned the room is mostly empty. I didn't start coming to these meetings a month ago, and I didn't start coming during COVID. I've been coming for 8 to 10 years, and the room is mostly empty. This is not unusual. We have a very unusual situation in that the whole community has been touched by this one thing. But I've been coming for 8 and 10 years, and I've watched this board and this superintendent and previous boards and previous superintendents and the administration and the teachers turn things around at every opportunity. I have seen families and students with specific problems, some massive, way bigger than COVID, but because it didn't affect all their neighbours, it didn't get this kind of response. But it did get the response from the board and the superintendents and the administration. So my youngest daughter graduates this year. I know 5 of this team have graduates this year. I want to thank you, not just for this year and all the hard work you did, but for the many, many, many years. I know we're not supposed to call people out. I would like to call out Dave Tate and Carol Butler, who have also been sitting at this table for 10 years. All the work you've done that I've seen you do, all the help you've given my family in the background, and many other families that I've been working with, sharing time with, and enjoying. So this has been an incredibly difficult year, as there have been incredibly difficult situations before. This got everybody's attention, but the other ones got your attention every time. And I want to thank you for the 14 years we've been in the district, you, those before you, and those to come after you. I know we haven't always agreed. I've sat down with many of you. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. I've rallied the community on occasion when we didn't agree. We approached things respectfully. We got things done collaboratively. We didn't always win. You didn't always win, but we got there and we all went at it for the good of the students. I believe you have done that, and I believe we'll see that next year. I don't think we'll be wearing masks. I'm guessing most people don't think we'll be wearing masks. So I hate to see this kind of dissent and abuse for something that's probably not going to come true. None of us want to wear masks. I didn't vote for Governor Murphy. I won't be voting for him next time. Okay? But I do understand that you guys have to follow his requirements. I'm also guessing, I don't know this for a fact, I'm guessing there's money behind it, as in if you don't follow the guidelines, there's a financial impact, would be my expectation, knowing how governments work. I also know that if you were taking off the masks, we'd have a whole group of parents here on the other side, hopefully not behaving in the same way, but parents will do whatever we have to do to protect our children. I don't like how it's been done. I do like how you have done your job, and I want to thank you for all you've done and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Nicola.
Okay, thank you for letting me speak. Thank you for seeing me in the back. So I'm Patrice Farquharson, 215 East Camden Ave. I don't even know where to begin. I'd be remiss if I did not say and point out, as the woman before me did, even though a lot of the things may be coming from majority or people speaking about the majority of the community, there are individuals that make up the, I won't even say minority, but that need that extra thought and that extra attention and thinking of the mass and the social distancing. Because as a public health professional, we understand the research shows that, and I might need to talk this way, the research shows that COVID is affecting our community widely differently. There are great disparities. So it may be, you know, as she said, we may not need to wear masks in the fall. We may not have to, but having that patience and thinking of your neighbor wouldn't have gotten us here in the first place. In COVID wide, you know, big at the beginning, but because we were rushing and thinking, I don't want to do this, or why do I have to stay inside, or why can't I do this? If we would have just thought for a second, you know what, let me do this just for my neighbor, we'll figure it out later, and maybe we would be open and not be sitting here half-faced looking at each other. So I just say that, you know, take that thought into my neighbors sitting out here. Most of you I do not know, but I know in my job, I think of my neighbor and think of how I can do my part. And I just ask you all to think that through. I understand the kids, you want them to be socially active and be with their friends and have their experiences in high school and participate in all the great things. But I know personally, I would like them to see that future. I would like them to be alive to experience that. And unfortunately, COVID takes people just like that. They can be super healthy or they can be super sick. We just don't know. And that's one thing in having these meetings and conversing and having these public comments. We've said we just don't know. We really don't know. But I would hate for us something like that tragic to hit our community and then we're here having a vigil. You know, so just keep that in the back of your minds. Everybody here is individuals and everybody's going to be impacted differently. And if we're wearing masks in the fall just to protect somebody else, that's really what we have to do. It might be your child, those that came in at the beginning of this meeting that we're trying to protect. It might be somebody else's, but that's why we're here. That's what we need to do as a neighbor and as a community. So I just ask for that. I hear both opinions. And I respect both sides because, as someone said earlier, everybody has the right to their opinion and they're just trying to think of their child and what you can best try to do for your own children. So I just thank you guys. I thank all of us for being here and showing up for our community. but just try to think of the other person or the other child. So thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Lisa Trapani, 350 Bridgeboro Road. I just have a short statement of thanks for the two administrators who are going to be leaving us at the end of June. So on behalf of the Morristown Education Association, I'd like to thank two members of the administration for their service to our district. I would like to thank Carolyn Gibson for her service to Morristown. You came in at one of the most difficult times in education, and you were dedicated to the position. We appreciate your knowledge, your willingness to work together to solve problems, and we wish you the best in the future. Thank you. Next, I would like to thank Scott Mccartney for his 5 years of service to the district. He was appointed after a series of interim superintendents, another difficult time. He guided us through a global pandemic, and we maintained our high standards on all levels. And I speak for the staff when I say that we're very proud of that, and we're proud of the support from the board and all the administration. Despite what some in this community would have you believe, we had our differences, but we worked together to resolve them for the best of the district. Just as with business, labor and management work together to provide a great service, which we did. We wish you the best in your future.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to close public comment? Thanks. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to reports to the board. A, the Business Administrator Board Secretary reports. One financial report to the board secretary, 2 treasurer's report, 3 cafeteria report, 4 approval of budget transfers, 5 approval of bills. Can I please have a motion to approve 1 through 5?
So moved, Sandra.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Noes, abstentions? No. Okay. Moving on to the recommendations of the superintendent, the approval of the Safe Return to Schools plan, policies and procedures. 1, first reading policies. 2, second reading. 3, policies and regulations to be abolished. Can I please have a motion to approve items 1 through 3?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Those abstentions? Okay, moving on to educational program. 1 is home instruction, 2 special education out of district placements, 3 Burlington County alternative school placements, 4 special education in district placements, 5 Bayada Home Healthcare Corp nursing services. Could I please have a motion to approve items 1 through 5?
Second.
Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain from 2.
Anyone else? No. So D, under finance and business, this is the bond refinancing ordinance. The motion is a resolution is requested approving the refunding bond ordinance of the Board of Education of the Township of Morristown and the County of Burlington, New Jersey, providing for the refunding of all or a portion of the outstanding callable school refunding bonds of the school district dated May 1st, 2012, issued in the original principal amount of $20,525,000, appropriating not to exceed $8,600,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $8,600,000 refunding bonds to provide for such refunding as per Exhibit 21-279. Can I please have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? I know James did provide information to the board on this, so, okay. Roll call vote?
Dr. Alberti,
Yes.
Mr. Fairchild,
Yes.
Mrs. Law, Dr. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Villanueva, Mr. Weeks, Mr. Weinstein, Ms. Romano,
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 2, approval of state contract and consortium vendor purchases. 3, donations. 4, interlocal services agreement, IT services. 5, non-resident tuition students. 6, annual meeting notice. 7, bus emergency evacuation drills. 8, BIATA contracted substitute school nursing services. 9, athletic organization memberships. 10, athletic schedules. 11, sidebar agreement. 12, Chapter 47 annual notification. 13, food service management contract. 14, school lunch prices. 15, authorization for lease purchase. 16, physician services. 17, transfer to capital reserve, not to exceed. Can I please have a motion to approve items 2 through 17?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Noes, abstentions? No. Great. Moving on to employee relations. Number 1, approval of the contract for business administrator. 2, appointments. 3, leave of absence and extension to leave of absence. 4, change of assignment. 5, salary correction. 6, retirements. 7, resignations. 8, administrative leave withholding of salary increase. 9, reappointment of substitutes. 10, June swap day presenters. 11, homebound instructors. 12, reappointment of bus drivers. 13, reappointment of extended school day program staff. 14, reappointment of education support services. 15, reappointment of paraprofessionals. 16, staff summer hours. 17, athletics. 18, high school athletic volunteers. 19, extended school year staff. 20, ESSER, ESSA summer teaching staff. 21, co-curricular stipends. 22, curriculum writing. 23, summer transportation staff. 24, Black Seal stipend. 25, CST summer evaluation meeting staff. 26, information technology volunteer. 27, high school musical videographer. 28, Delanco shared service incentive. 29, summer enrichment support staff. 30, September professional development staff. 31, middle school unified track 1-to-1 paraprofessional. 32, school nurse for summer programs. And 33, 2021-2022 employment contracts. Can I please have a motion to approve items 1 through 33?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions or comments? That was a lot. Nope. Roll call vote?
Dr. Alberti,
Yes.
Mr. Fairchild,
Yes.
Mrs. Law, Dr. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Villanueva, Mr. Weeks, Mr. Weinstein, Ms. Romano,
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Then we have suspensions and HIB report, then informational only enrollment information. Does anyone have any old business to discuss? No. Any new business? I guess not. So we will open the floor again. Could I have a motion to open the floor for public comment?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. If anyone wants to come to the mic?
Hello. My name's Dina Hayes, 29 Apple Orchard Road. I want to speak in reference to the reentry plan for the fall, which includes masking our kids all day, every day. First, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm an introvert. This is the very last thing that I want to be doing right now. I'd rather be home pretending this wasn't happening, but it is. I have to stand up for the kids and for my own son. My son is in 9th grade. He used to be a very happy kid, always smiling, always up for fun. However, the past year, he's changed. Now I barely recognize him. He's quiet, he's withdrawn, he doesn't want to go to school, and he keeps to himself. That's not him. He's not alone. Reports of mental health crises in adolescence have skyrocketed since this began. In the past year, a child aged 5 to 18 is 12 times more likely to die of suicide than of COVID. Masks cause feelings of anxiety, and fear and isolation in some kids. Not all kids, but a lot of them. How can we continue to do this to them? The thought of putting my son through this for another year terrifies me. I know him and I know what's best for him. I should be making that decision, not the board and not the governor. Parents, please know that this mask mandate in September is not based on science. Infections are at an all-time low. If children do get the virus, they have a virtually 0% chance of dying or being hospitalized. Our kids are being masked in September for 2 reasons: money and politics. I'm not willing to allow that to happen to my son. Members of the board, please do the right thing for our kids and for my son. Please end the mask mandate or at least make it optional. Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to make a comment because of the mention about the behind closed door meeting. So, one, behind closed doors signifies something to me in the sense that it's private. It's kind of disconcerting to know that amongst your group that there are people who would divulge like what's happening behind closed doors. To me, that feels like such a breach of trust, one. Secondly, to that, I really want to say, because I know that you all don't comment, is that thank you for upholding what is the essence of being a public institution as you came out here and upheld what were the rules as a public institution by requiring the mandate, the request of the mask in this public space, which is exactly what we are talking about in the sense of what we would be thinking beyond just our own individual selves. Behind closed doors, what you do as consenting adults, possibly maybe you have agreements because you're vaccinated, I have no clue. That's your business. Young people have a saying, none ya. It's none ya business what y'all were doing behind closed doors. It's quite disappointing that people are now demanding that you tell them, hold your peace as you are. But again, thank you for upholding what is the public institution of this space, because there could be people in here who could be affected negatively by not upholding those types of mandates. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anthony Dragan, 547 Eaglebrook Drive. I don't even want to go down the road of what you were doing as consenting adults behind those doors, in addition to that. But I just wanted to, the gentle lady brought up a point that most of these school board meetings are empty, and amen to that, I understand that. But what we're seeing across the country is that people are gathering at their school board meetings to either applaud the courage that's been shown during the course of the year, or to show anger for things that weren't done. Okay, and that's what I was illustrating here, that this is empty. So what you have is you have a disengaged public, okay, who really they don't see, they see futility. Okay, the only 2 members who would have shown any opposition tonight, you all didn't have the courage to insist that they come back in here or to make some sort of accommodation for them. I'll tell you, Mark Villanueva is the only person who makes these board meetings interesting. And why is that? Not because he gets into squabbles with people, but because he's the voice of opposition. This is the uniparty. You're all in agreement with each other, and that's great. But you have a big disagreement. And that disagreement is shown in the people who are here, but most importantly, the people who are watching, the people who are not here, because they've had it. They don't see any point to it, okay? And you stood up, you're courageous because you stood up 5 new subcommittees this year, but you couldn't figure out how to do lunch. So there's a lot of symbolism, but not a lot of substance, okay? And what we would like to see is more courage moving forward. And what people are scared of is this takes courage. This doesn't take courage, okay? Thank you very much.
Hello, Claudine Leone, 425 Oldershaw Avenue. I think you honored our IT folks, and I absolutely commend them. This year would not have happened. I don't understand, and I don't think we really understand that when they get all that stuff back, their job is so far not done. So, given that they made this year happen, I implore the board once again to have these meetings available on Zoom, not just live streamed. You all have your laptops, you can be Zooming and they can see your faces, he can figure it out. It's 100% possible. If our wonderful teachers can teach to a screen of 20 kids and a room of 20 kids, you guys can hold a board meeting and allow those that can't participate. I personally worked up until 7:05 and I had to scramble over here. And I thought it was important, and I'm glad I did. I missed a little bit of the scuttlebutt, but I appreciate that people did show up and express themselves. Those folks would have had the opportunity if they were on Zoom. So I really hope so. Just as another point, my 8th grade son says, "Why are you going?" They're not going to listen. I don't know where he gets that from. I'm a very diplomatic person in my home, and he knows I'm very fair-minded. He's getting that from the environment that he's in at school. They're less afraid about, I think one of the kids were saying, standing next to someone or do something. They're getting in trouble. They're getting in trouble for being kids. They're getting in trouble before you made the clarification for outdoor masks. If they were taking it down, they were getting in trouble. These kids don't want to be in school. His comment is, "We only have a couple of days left." And I said, well, the fall is yet to be determined. The governor has to make some decisions. The CDC is going to come out with their guidance. The board has to absorb all that. So we need to keep our voices heard. So I hope you consider the Zoom. I know our IT guys can do it. It's really important to the community, particularly those with younger kids who can't be here. And we want more engagement, right? We want more engagement from the community. So I thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, just one more brief public comment from me. Jill Fallows Macaluso from 800 Golfview. I'm going to go back to my drum around culture of inclusion and culture of transparency. I talk a lot about those words, but sometimes maybe not the specific tactics that you could implement to foster them. I agree 100% with Claudine. I think going back to providing the parent community with the opportunity to fully participate by Zoom and including public comment, it would be a big step in the right direction to foster a culture of inclusivity where each and every person's voice can be heard. Also, on the culture of inclusivity, I found it odd that some of the commenters were shut off at 3 minutes on the mic and some were not shut off at 3 minutes on the mic. I'm getting texts from people who are watching by Zoom. I don't even know if it's constitutional to shut off some people because you made the meeting available by public Zoom broadcast. So you really can't silence people after 3 minutes, especially when you're picking and choosing who to silence. And on the picking and choosing topic, it leads to my final point around transparency. I really would love an answer about whether or not you did or did in fact not wear masks when you met in public and private session. I looked back at the policy. I know it's not super clear on the website, but Dr. Mccartney sent an email saying that all persons are required to wear a mask with the exception, at all times in our buildings, with the exception of staff alone in a room by themselves. So I really, really would like to know. I think it's so important in the spirit of transparency and fostering the trust that I've heard other speakers talk about. If you didn't wear them, why won't you say it? Why can't you have the courage? You're our leadership. You are the tone at the top. You are the boss of the superintendent. I really, really, really want to know. I'm looking at you. Are you going to answer? Did you wear masks in private session? Did you follow the school policy? Okay, I'll wait here until my time is up because I know you set a timer when I talk. It's fascinating. It's behavioral science, like experiment that you won't respond.
We just don't answer questions during this. So
You answer questions for a lot of people. I respectfully disagree with you. You don't answer questions if it's not something you want to share or if there's something about the person who's asking it. You answer plenty of questions, and you also allow people to call out certain board members, et cetera. If you like what you're hearing, you let it go on. If you don't, you shut off the mic. Thank you.
Now I've gotten old till we're back in person, need my glasses, so excuse me. Karen Vidal, 441 Oldershaw Avenue. All right. So first I'd want to thank the board and everything else for making this year happen. I am a little disheartened that we're all jumping to a decision on masks when we're not there yet. The part of having a novel virus, what we're learning about, is research is coming out all the time. Do we know if children are going to be vaccinated 5 to 12 in September? Absolutely not. So I wouldn't accept a decision from the board now because the science doesn't show where the decision should be. I have no problem that those children 12 and above can be vaccinated if it's a parent choice and they would like to do that. And I think for that reason, a lot of parents would support removing the mask mandate for WAMs and above. For below, my concerns are this. One, I don't think people realize that public school is not a majority wins. It's not a democratic election. There's actually laws that protect students with medical disabilities. So your child can come to school with cancer. And I know that because that's what I did for 22 years. And you've seen on Facebook some of the pictures of kids with cancer because some of their parents were chose to disclose that. A lot didn't, and you had no idea that their children were in our schools. They deserve a right to a public education. They have no option for remote next year. There is a child with a critical immune disorder who's a rising fourth grader. That child deserves it. And I hear you. I understand that the mask is uncomfortable, but all of these things that people have been saying, the pandemic is causing the depression. The pandemic is causing the high suicide rates. The pandemic is causing all of these things. I understand that. I've done this, and for 22 years, I can tell you, I know the research behind the mask because that was my job as a pediatric oncology nurse. And I'm the first person to say that of course that was a critically ill population. And that's not definitely the population that's going on right now for what we're doing for schools. But here's some of the thing with the novel virus. We now say that from the Mayo Clinic, just printed in May of this year, there is recent research that now children are long haulers without severe disease. So we're talking struggle making it through the school day, exhaustion, trouble concentrating, decreased performance in athletes. There's now a recommendation from the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia that any child with one or more symptom of COVID should have an EKG prior to return to sports. Now, if a parent decides to not do the EKG, that's a parent preference, but we need to uphold that and let them know that there is still that risk. I have 2 family members that are long haulers. One's on anticoagulant therapy. So it means this could be lifelong for her. Another's in a brain fog. That's horrible for somebody whose job is an author. Dave Tichy from...
Time's up, Karen.
Yeah, thank you. Sure. You know what? It's nice that you're quick to call out me and not other people.
Thank you. Okay. Can I have a motion to close public comment? Oh, sorry, I missed that one.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'd like to speak to the mask mandate for September. I have two children.
Name and address, please.
Oh, I'm
sorry.
I'm Dawn Miller. My address is 301 Springhouse Lane. I have two children at Morristown High School. My oldest is graduating, and my youngest is a rising sophomore. According to my kids, masks are no big deal. They're only worn for 4.5 hours a day, just a half day. Some teachers are lenient and allow them to wear them below their nose or on their chin. Then there's the mask-free hallway, where no teachers are there to monitor. As an adult, I see things differently. I see a dear friend's son who has special needs get sent home from school multiple times due to a tickle that he develops in his throat from the mask. I see a neighbor's daughter struggle with headaches. I see a friend's daughter stay full remote, not because of fear of a virus, but because the mask causes her anxiety. I see a barrier to smiles and disguised emotions. And I know several board members who are compassionate, and I know you see this too. But let's get real. Do the masks actually work? According to the CDC, fabric and surgical masks have not been proven to protect the wearer. Per the FDA, face masks are designated as experimental for emergency use with no long-term safety trials for daily use on children. How long will we continue to compromise our children's mental health and social and emotional well-being for unproven science? Did you know schools in Sweden have been open full-time without masks since the start of the school year? 1,951,905 children, and no children have died of COVID-19. There was a low incidence of severe COVID with 15 children hospitalized. That's 1 in 130,000. The spread among staff was lower than other non-healthcare occupations. Several states within our own country are now maskless, and we are seeing a continued decline in cases. What are the metrics being used for lifting the mask mandate in schools? Here in New Jersey, it's estimated that between vaccination and natural infection, we are at 80% immunity. Combine this with the fact that children are not proven vectors of the virus, and their survival rate is nearly 100%. Continued masking is nothing short of child abuse. Now, because I have a graduating senior, I have spent the last 2 weekends celebrating with family and friends. It combined hundreds of people smiling, shaking hands, hugging, sharing meals together. It is absolute theatrics that the children are told to wear masks in school. You have the power to stop this nonsense and the complete overreach of power by our governor. I ask you, please give parents the power to declare for themselves whether or not we want our children to wear masks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just Dan Miller, I'm Dawn's husband, 301 Springhouse Lane also. Just real quick, it's prostitution. If you're doing this just for the money, for the $749,000, it's prostitution. You're whoring out our kids so that you can get $749,000 to pay for whatever in the world that you want to pay for. Just think about that. Don't be a bunch of prostitutes, okay? Thank you.
Okay. Motion to close public comment.
So moved.
Second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we are up for adjournment. I would like to say I do appreciate both sides. I really do. I have mixed opinions on both. As an individual, as someone read, I do intend to write to the governor, and I would implore all of you who feel the same way to do that. However, as a board consensus that every individual has their own decisions, we have gotten many, many emails on the other side of people fearing the masks and wanting to keep them for those under 12. So we are not at the fall. It's a long time away. And a lot of us feel we don't know at this point what it will bring. We are closely monitoring, and we are a public entity, so we are required to follow the mandates of the state. And if those change, we are more than willing to. I know Mr. Heiser and Mr. Tate in their presentations have said it multiple times. If the mandates change, we will change. But as of now, as a public entity, we are required to follow those mandates. So as individuals, feel free to go to Trenton, the State Department of Education, the Commissioner of Education, the Governor's Office, whatever you can do to petition your views. I would take it to that extent. Okay. On that. Okay, motion to adjourn, please. Thank you. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.